Your Keys to Freedom, Turning the Tables on Trust Law, from Canadian psychic medium Tracey Milne, presented to you by whatcomesnextforyou.com. Greetings, dear Earth Star Angel. This is Tracey Milne, and I am so excited to share today's message with you. Sometimes our guide teams use the people in our lives to send us the information that they feel we need the most right now. This is exactly how this information was sent to me, and why I would like to pass it on to you to share with as many people as you can. It is my hope that this information will enlighten you and empower you, giving you real action steps that you can take today to take your power back and reclaim your sovereign right under the laws of the land. In our last transmission, we gave you our version of the history of the Draco-Reptilians and the people of Earth. In today's message, I would like to give you some deeper insight into one of the main control mechanisms that the Draco use to control us, that being money and maritime law agreements. The entire idea of governance by another was created by the Draco in the first place, and they taught it to the children that they kidnapped and indoctrinated into their sick rituals and ways. From the very beginning, the tables have been stacked against us, and the people's relationship to the governments of the world is sadly very greatly misunderstood. The descendants of the first kidnapped children became a group of beings known as the Phoenicians, a seafaring race who used piracy to stake their claim to whatever they wanted, wherever they went. These Phoenicians formed 13 families, and it was these 13 families that established Vatican City, which is considered an island in and of itself. Thanks to the Phoenicians, our governments are set up on the basis of a trust relationship. Trust relationships are managed under the law of the sea, or maritime law, and the chancery. Natural law falls under the Creator's consent, whereas man's law are created on the basis of presumed consent. Furthermore, in man's law, once consent is given or implied, any rules may be enforced by those who we have surrendered our trust to. A trust agreement or trust contract is, in principle, a natural world law that has always existed, for when two or more free will beings want to interact, they do so using a trust agreement. All power and authority bestowed by you to your government is actually a trust agreement for you to be governed by them. Hence, all governments, whether a monarchy, democracy, republic, federation, or dictatorship, use this trust agreement to create a corporation or corporeal dead operation. It is these corporations that help the governments gain spoken and unspoken agreements from we, the people. And here's how they do it. When we were born, our parents unknowingly declared us incompetent when they created the birth certificate and filed it through the government. Though we may not be aware of it, all birth certificates get registered through the Vatican, which is considered an island and thereby under the rule of maritime law, not God's law. Even if you're not Catholic, if your birth was registered, your name went on this list somewhere in the Vatican files. Your parents did this in good faith, not understanding that they were giving away the right to rule you to the church and state until your 18th birthday, when you're considered an adult and capable of reclaiming your estate and sovereignty. This trust was broken when the government failed to disclose all of this information over the course of your schooling years so that you could eventually take control of your own estate. By merit of their failure to inform us of these truths, they automatically broke their part of the agreement with us. Now here is the part that the elite don't want you to know. Your estate is not a birth certificate, nor is it a piece of land or money. Your estate is your mind, body, and spirit complex as made by God. This is where law and spirit meet. Then, sometime during your childhood, the government or the Vatican stakes a claim that you are dead or lost at sea. This loophole is possible because on our birth certificates it does not clearly state live birth or dead birth. Until or unless we refute their claim, they can keep this claim in the books legally, holding us indentured indefinitely. And remember, the claim that they're staking is the claim to the right to rule our bodies, hearts, minds, and spirit. This is not their God-given right, and this in and of itself is breaking the rules of God. And any trust agreement that may be in place, whether it is presumed or clearly stated. And if that wasn't enough, it turns out that by voting, we are inadvertently validating our presumed incompetence. So we can either stop consenting to all forms of authoritarian rule, like paying taxes or fines or tickets or accepting corporate justice, and in doing so prove our competence, or we can do nothing and continue to issue our implied consent. In this case, there is no gray area. There are no bystanders. And you are working for freedom, or you are working with the cabal by remaining inactive. What President Trump is offering, not just the United States but the rest of the world, is the opportunity to return to constitutional law, land law, where God's law is rule. The other party and the other candidates are only offering indentured slavery indefinitely. Now let's talk about implied consent, the government's favorite loophole. It turns out that a lot of our government institutions deceive people into giving them the right to rule through implied consent. As such, our efforts to awaken the unawakened masses needs some extra power and push by sharing these truths with as many as you can find. Hopefully, when enough people have gained an awareness of this problem, we can then act as a collective to dispel presumed authority legally. Each person who is still asleep is unwittingly working with and for the cabal, and they don't even know it. I will share the links and definitions in the blog for this video. Our job really is to simply plant seeds of knowledge and let the sleeping masses do the watering and growing so that we are no longer in need of being misrepresented by governments all over this beautiful world. Freedom is closer than ever, and we are the ones who have the keys. Those who would claim rulership over us already know that any power one person has over another is illusionary at best. Just because someone claims their right to mastery over you doesn't make it so. If we give in to coercion, threats, and the fear of unpleasant repercussions, we can continue to disable ourselves indefinitely. We have reached a critical point in our mass awakening, and the truth is, we have inadvertently declared our own incompetence in several ways according to the law. It is our lack of action that has allowed them to continue with their presumed consent, and ignorance of the law is on us, not them. Therefore, we must learn how to start taking our power back by standing up for ourselves and our rights, to be left alone to rule and govern our lives as we see fit. You are a child of the infinite creator of the universe, not of the church and not of the state. So here is the action step that we can all take. I have included a link that allows a download for an affidavit of ownership so you can take your power back. It will need to be filled out and notarized to be legally binding in the eyes of the government and the law. You have a God-given claim to authority over your body, mind, spirit complex, and all other claims are but impostors. There are no rulers, merely trustees, and we have given away our power to manage our affairs, whether we did so knowingly or unknowingly. In this time of the Great Awakening, it is up to us, the starseeds, to take the lead and to gain mastery of ourselves by gaining new knowledge. In doing so, we automatically reclaim our God-given estate and the right to rule it as we see fit. So now that you know the tricks that have been played against you, it doesn't matter what country you come from. It is up to you to reclaim your sovereign right to rule your body, mind, spirit complex, which is your God-given estate, as you see fit. Remember, the government works for you, not the other way around. And when they break the trust that you have placed in them, it is your duty to call them to task on it. If you have a legal birth certificate, then the chances are very, very high that somewhere along the line you were claimed as lost at sea and had the legal rights to your estate, including your body, mind, spirit complex, abducted through assumption by governments and religions who do not have your best interest at heart. It's time for us to take our power back. It's time for us to take the action steps needed to really make this a legally binding opportunity for us to create better changes, better rules, and better laws that allow for fairer treatment of all concerned. And together we can birth in a new golden age for the people of Earth. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this message. I hope it has served to open your eyes to some of the tricks that have been played on you. Until next time, this is interdimensional channel and psychic medium Tracey Milne saying thank you and namaste. Be sure to go to whatcomesnextforyou.com to download the documents needed for you to reclaim your sovereignty. Like or subscribe to stay up to date with our videos, or check out some of our other light-infused offerings. What comes next for you? What's in your future?